It's been a while since I've done a reading, and so I figured I would share something from the previous book, Lies from Beechwood Drive, which is really based on a very fictionalized version of some of the childhood stories and growing up in Saline. Um, Saline is not a pool, but it's very close, and I certainly borrow a lot of those stories from my childhood and things that happened around our school and that kind of thing. Um, in this part of the book that I'm going to read, um, Esther, our main character, who's the town gossip, um, is she's learning more about the sister city. So Selene's sister city is Brecon, Wales, and in Beechwood Drive, I make it Hungerford, England. And there's kind of a connection between artists and whatever, but I don't know, the whole idea of sister cities, I remember was a thing, and I remember just kind of being fascinated by it. And so, honestly, in a lot of ways, writing this was kind of an excuse to dig into that. And I kind of arbitrarily chose Hungerford. And then the more I learned about it, the more parallels kind of worked. It's funny sometimes when you write just how the threads come together magically. And this was kind of one example. The Beechwood Drive is set from like 85 to 89 for the first part of it, and then it kind of jumps forward to 2015, and then carries on for a couple years after that. Um, but Esther's son, Bruce, I kind of conflate that character with a lot of different stories. In this particular chapter, Bruce has spent time at the barber shop where the barber has all kinds of magazines laying around. And there was a barber shop I used to go to that had Playboys. They're often discreetly hidden, but they were there. And sometimes you could sneak it between things. And they often had other magazines like Guns and Ammo, which happens to be um, plays a big part in this chapter. Um, and it's fascinating to like go through. I had a memory of this because I was also really interested in guns as a kid, and it was really interesting to go back through and like read the articles from the time, women in shooting. And then I remember just being amazed at how cheaply you can purchase guns, because in the back there were always these like classified ads for, in this case, these are pellet guns. Um, and it was just kind of mind boggling that they sold guns through a magazine. As a kid, I had no idea how to do that because I didn't have a checkbook. I didn't know how to send money through the mail. I didn't know about um, I can't remember what those are called, like money orders that you would get. I didn't know any of those things. So whenever I wanted to order something in the mail, comic books, or if I wanted to send in for first day of issue stamps, I had to give my parents money, and then they wrote a check and I sent it off. So like there was no way I was going to buy a gun through the mail. Um, but in Lies from Beechwood Drive, I just kind of made that happen. And but before we get to what Bruce ends up doing and trying to figure out, um, this is a little section um, about the sister cities. So this is why, on this day in February 1988, Esther was reading the Newbury Weekly News dated August 23, 1987. The front page was dominated by a single story about a young man named Michael Robert Ryan, who, on August 19th, 1987, killed 16 people, injured 15 more, and then killed himself. Esther was flabbergasted. First, how could something like this happen? How had Hungerford's sister city not heard about it? She read every inch of the newspaper and then went back through it again. The murderer had been 27 years old and apparently very angry. He burned down the family house. He shot his car because it wouldn't start. He shot a dog when it was in his way. He used a pistol and two semi-automatic rifles. One of the people he killed was his mother. The other 15 people killed by Michael were in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was no other connection between Michael and his victims. One man was mowing his lawn. A mother was on a picnic with her children. A woman worked as a cashier where he had stopped for gasoline for his car. A father of two was walking a dog. Another man was a taxi driver. Young and old, the killer didn't discriminate. That really got Esther. The story made her sick to her stomach, but it also made her curious. Esther went up to the librarian's desk and asked if she had the latest issue of the Newbury News. No, it hasn't come in yet, she said. I fear it's a little slow, particularly with the holidays. When it does come, we'll probably get a couple packed together. Did you read about what happened over there? Esther asked. The library hadn't, so Esther told her. That's terrible, the librarian said. But it doesn't surprise me. We had that shooting in Florida not that long ago. What? Asked Esther. Oh, yeah, in Palm Bay or something? I remember reading all about it because my father lives down there that way, the librarian said. It was an old man who was angry and sad. You know, he used to be a librarian, so watch out. He never knew who was going to snap one day. I don't remember hearing anything about that, Esther mused. I think you only killed 6, though, the librarian said. You said the guy in Hungerford got 16? He killed 16, hurt 15 others, and killed himself, said Esther. She didn't like the tone the librarian was using. It seemed callous to say, only got 6, when they were talking about human lives. What did they do in Florida to stop it? Stop it? Well, they used some kind of stun grenade and tear gas, said the librarian. But that's just stopping the one guy. What if someone else tries it? Asked Esther. Well, you know, we have the Second Amendment, said the librarian. Not much you can do with that. There was also that guy in Arkansas. I think he got 16 or 20. That was just in December. What? Asked Esther. Now she was really angry, partly because of the language the librarian was using again, but partly because somehow she had overlooked this. How had she not heard about that? And just like that, Esther had her new purpose in life, ending gun violence. She doesn't, obviously, but that becomes a mission for a short time. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to her, Bruce is reading Guns and Ammo and trying to acquire firearms, and ultimately, it results in making a deal with a kid from school, and they try to transact the exchange on a school bus. And some people who are in my class may recall a very similar situation occurred at our school, only I don't know it happened on a school bus. I seem to remember it actually happened where someone brought the shotgun into the locker in the school itself, and they bought it and then tried to take the shotgun home. So I don't know, like every time one of these stories happens, I'm just reminded of how long this history of violence in schools and just the fascination with guns are. And the more I hear and read about it, just the more I'm reminded of that past. Um, I don't know. It's going to require some kind of major culture shift to change that. But anyhow, I thought I would share that since that was on my mind. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.